Welcome to IELTS Band Up, where IELTS is made easy. Hello everybody, welcome to another IELTS grammar lesson that'll really help you get a band 7 to 9 on your next IELTS test. This grammar is really special because it'll help you in all areas. I know I say this every video, but I really do feel like I am the most experienced. I started doing this because I saw other YouTubers on there and they do kind of give incorrect information. So if you could tell other people, if you could subscribe, that would really help me a lot. It's also worth mentioning that I've written a book related to Task 2 writing, if you want to check that out in the information section. And I strongly recommend that you pause the video. Treat this like a lesson. Make some notes, get your pen and paper out. It'll really help you a lot to remember these expressions and grammar in the future. Please check this information section below. You can get your speaking score, check by me. There's more lessons down there. There's explanation videos. There's practice tests. There's one link that will, connect you to all of this. So check it out. Okay, let's get started with the lesson. Well, the first question I'm going to tackle is, how important are quantifiers? Well, the answer is extremely important. They will help you with your reading, because many times you'll have academic readings where they talk about the number of things, and then there'll be a synonym in the question. So they're extremely important. It's the same thing with listening. They often talk about amounts or quantity, and then there'll be a synonym in the question. So you have to be aware of different quantifiers. Now in speaking, it's absolutely critical as well, especially when you're talking in the part 3 referring to society. And that's often a question where they say, how popular is it for people to X, or how many people in your town enjoy something? And then you would be using quantifiers there, and you'd want to have a good range to have a good speaking answer. Now the number one place that this will help you is your IELTS Task 1 academic, okay? Because often you're talking about data, you're explaining two things and how much there is of them, the quantity. So definitely for task 1 academic, but also very, very useful when you're doing your task 2 essay, whether it's general or academic, because again, you're talking about society, you're trying to explain how, the number of something, and it's really good to have a range of synonyms that you use accurately with the noun that you're modifying. Well, what are modifiers? Well, they are a type of determiner. Determiners are just words that go before nouns, like and the. But again, quantifiers in the name, they're focusing on the number. Now they can be one word or they can be a phrase, but whether they're one word or a phrase, you treat them as one lexical chunk. Now for what quantifiers do, well, they let the listener or reader know about quantity and your opinion about quantity. They are used instead of numbers. So again, this is the key, right? They're used instead of numbers. Like if it's the task 1 academic for writing, you would, you'd say like a great deal of, you'd still give the number, but it just really helps that lexical resource if you're using quantifiers. And where can quantifiers be found? Well, before nouns and noun phrases, right? Well, before nouns, some ideas. Before adjective plus noun, some good ideas. Before adverb plus adjective plus noun, some very good ideas. I know this is a very basic example, but just in case you have a language where the adjective and the noun, or, not every language has the same sequence of adverb, adjective, noun, so it's very important that you're aware of this. Next, how do we choose quantifiers? Well, it depends on the noun or the noun phrase. Is it countable, uncountable? Both, right? So the quantifier could be used for both. Those are the most useful. And how formal is it? Is it, is it a writing where it should be more formal? Is it informal, like in a speaking? These are things that you really need to think about when you're choosing your quantifier. Quantifiers need to be memorized. This is one of those things like, and but and so, synonyms for those. These need to be memorized so that you can use them quickly and easily whenever you're doing your IELTS test. How about try this? Try to write down as many as you can now. Is it for countable, uncountable? Put a little note next to it. Maybe a U for uncountable and a C for countable, or a B for both. Is it formal or informal? Again, put a little note next to each quantifier. Put a F for formal and an I for informal. Pause the video now, see how many you can write down, and I'm sure I can give you some more after you start the video again. Well, let's start with the most useful ones, and that's the quantifiers that can be used for both. Okay, so you've got all, right? All, you could say all the students or all the water in the ocean, something like that. A lot of, also, a lot of men, a lot of research. A lot of, many people think it's, more informal. That's true, but it's not wrong to use it in your writing as well. Obviously, you get, more lexical resource if you use more academic or less frequent ones in your writing, but still, this is perfectly okay. But when we move down to lots of, right, and these collocation, things and stuff, this sounds 100% like speaking. Lots of is very informal, okay? You should never ever use it in your writing, okay? But if you're speaking, it actually looks quite natural, right? I've got lots of things in my house or lots of stuff in my closet. This would be perfectly natural, especially in the speaking. Moving on, we've got plenty of, and I've really tried to use like a variety of nouns, to show how they're used. Plenty of resources. Well, this sounds a little bit more formal, but you could also use it, in speaking, like Canada has plenty of resources. And information. Always remember, information is uncountable. I can get plenty of information at the, the information center. Enough. Well, I have, enough customers, enough money. Formal, informal, both are fine. More, any context, of course, right? This is one of the first things we learn in English grammar. More plus noun. I need more projects. I need more income. Formal, informal, both are fine. And less or least, okay? Less comments, the better, okay? This is the least rain we've had in 10 years. So less and least seem a little less common for quantifiers, but they're absolutely used a lot. And moving on to the last group, well, you've got no, like no tables, or none, okay? No tables or no patience, okay? And then we've got not any, but this is more grammatical, right? There aren't any benefits. There aren't, it would be there isn't any hope, right? So you'd have to change the be verb for that, right? Depending on whether it's plural, countable, or singular, is for hope, okay? So you got to be careful of that one. Some apples, some coffee. There you go. You got countable, uncountable. And there aren't any merits, or there isn't any evidence. So again, be careful of the be verb. These are both, formal, informal. You can use them interchangeably. You don't have to worry about the formality with this group. Now let's move on to the only uncountable. Well, let's start with much. Much, I'm going to say right away, is definitely formal, right? We don't have, often, negative too. You can say positive, it's not wrong, but often it's more negative, right? We don't have much equipment, or it could be formal and positive, right? Much equipment is required to do this task. It's quite formal, okay? So definitely very good for your task 2 writing. A great deal of, a great deal of work or a great deal of money. Again, it feels more formal, but you could use it in your speaking. It's not wrong, but it's definitely a bit more formal. And a large amount of advice, okay? These quantifiers, especially a great deal of and a large amount of, I really feel like these need to be memorized and put into your task 1 academic writing. Some more good expressions: a large quantity of, a little, very little, okay? So you could, it looks different, right? But it's a little or little, very little, both are fine. And then maybe sleep. And this is a little bit more informal. It could be used in writing, but it does have that more informal. And a bit of, okay? Definitely informal, right? Everyone likes a bit of chaos in their life. So definitely informal for this one. But just to make sure, a large quantity of, definitely that's, more formal. Okay, so that would be a great expression again for your task 1 academic writing. Next, let's move on to only countable. Well, many, again, this is both formal and informal. It has a little bit more informal feeling, but I tried to use irregular plurals for this, just to help you with that study. So, many men, a few, this also feels more informal, but you could use it in your writing. So a few or very few people, and a number of children. So a number of has a more formal feeling. Again, better in the writing, but perfectly okay in your speaking as well. Next we have several, which is more than a few. Several teeth. My daughter lost several teeth as she's 7 years old. A large number of, okay, women. And a great number of wolves. Just wanted to use, the one where the spelling changed. Again, those two are very formal. So again, very good for your task 1 or task 2 writing. Also formal is a majority of. Okay, again, you're talking about quantity. Again, I just wanted to use a different noun. A majority of shelves are empty after Christmas, something like that. Now here's my tips for your self-study once you're done watching this video. You really need to make your own examples, and then they will become much more memorable. It's not enough just to sit and look at words. Try to make, use a quantifier for things in your life, countable, uncountable. If it's true about you, I promise you'll remember much better. Look at your writing or, recorded speaking, and try to replace quantifiers. If you keep hearing yourself use some, or you keep writing some, or you keep using the same quantifier over and over again, well, have a look at the list today, or make the list in your notebook and try to replace them with different quantifiers. The more you do this, the more natural and faster it'll become on your next IELTS test. And related to this, underline quantifiers in online articles. So go to like a online newspaper and then have a look. Have a look where anytime there's a quantifier, even if it's some or any, you'll see that it's negative in the case of any. You'll see, a great number of, and you'll see other writers' style, and you'll become more aware of this. If you do these 3 things just for like a week, I promise your quantifier use will get much better. And this could really be the difference of raising a half band or a full band on your next IELTS test. Thank you very much for watching, and here's some more videos that you might be interested in. Please subscribe, please share it with people, as this would really help me a lot. Give it a thumbs up, add some comments, and I wish you the best of luck on your next IELTS test.